I never thought the moment I was left behind, literally stranded with nothing but a water bottle and a dying phone, would become the moment I found everything I had been missing. That summer trip was supposed to be a joke at my expense, but they had no idea what I'd do with it. My name is Alexis Vaughn. I'm 26, the middle child in a very loud, very opinionated family that often made me feel like the odd one out. I've always been the quiet one, the soft one, the girl who reads instead of talks. So when they left me stranded that day, they thought I'd crumble. But instead, I changed up. We were on our annual family road trip, something we did every summer since I was 10. 7 people. 1 RV, too many inside jokes I was never really part of. This year, we were headed to Zion National Park. They joked that it was my last chance to get outdoorsy and toughen up, but I never expected the joke would go this far. That we'd stopped at a rest area just outside Kanab, Utah. I'd gone to the restroom, and when I came back out, the RV was gone. At first, I thought they were pulling up to get gas or circling back. But after 10 minutes in the scorching sun, my heart started to pound. Then I saw the text from my older brother. Let's see if she can make it on her own for once. My hands were shaking. I thought it was a prank, but minute by minute, the truth settled in. They really left me. I stood under the blazing sun with no shade, no bag, and no idea what to do next. My phone had 14% battery. I had a $10 bill in my pocket and a half-empty water bottle. I was 8 miles from the nearest small town. My first instinct? Cry. My second? Scream. But something in me snapped instead. I wasn't going to give them the satisfaction of being right about me. If they thought I was weak, then fine, I'd prove them wrong. So I started walking. Every step on that dusty highway felt like I was shedding a version of myself. The girl who always let people speak over her. The one who apologized just for existing. The one who accepted being the family afterthought. Now, I was walking towards something different, though I didn't know what that was yet. After an hour, a dusty pickup truck slowed down beside me. The driver was a woman in her 50s, tan, confident, and kind-eyed. Need a lift, sweetheart? I hesitated, but nodded. I told her the truth, just not the whole truth. My family's RV broke down and I got separated. She smiled knowingly. Well, I'm headed into Kanab. Hop in. Her name was Diana. She worked at a small rescue center for desert animals. As we drove, I asked her about it, and by the time we hit the town, she invited me to come see it. Something about her voice made it feel like home. I figured I had nowhere else to go, so I followed her there. That decision changed everything. The rescue center was a humble lot filled with dusty enclosures, chirping desert birds, and shaded kennels for abandoned dogs. I spent 2 hours helping her feed, clean, and walk the animals. My phone finally died while I was giving water to a shy coyote hybrid named Bandit. It was the first time all week I forgot to be mad. That night, Diana offered me her guest room. She didn't press for details, but she did say this: sometimes life sends you people you didn't know you needed, especially when the ones you count on disappear. I went to bed feeling safer in her home than I had in years of family vacations. The next morning, I woke up to 23 missed calls. At first, I didn't want to listen to a single voicemail, but curiosity won. My mom's voice was first, frantic, annoyed, then a little guilty. My sister's message sounded more like a scolding. You should have told us where you were going. You scared Dad. As if I'd vanished on purpose. But my brother's message made my blood boil. Okay, it was just a prank. Can you get an Uber or something? We'll reimburse you. Chill. Reimburse me? For being stranded? That was the moment I decided I wasn't going back. Not yet. Not like that. I stayed with Diana for the next 3 days. I helped her organize donations, set up an online fundraiser, and take injured animals to a nearby wildlife vet. In return, she gave me food, space, and stories from her own life, of walking away from the people who never saw her value. I used to bend myself into shapes to fit my family, she said one night as we watched the sunset over red rocks. Then I realized I wasn't a puzzle piece. I was a whole picture they never learned how to see. Her words stuck to me like desert dust on boots. Eventually, I knew I had to face my family. But I'd do it on my own terms. I booked a bus ticket to meet them at their final stop, Las Vegas. It was 5 hours of desert, silence, and one too many granola bars. When I arrived, I walked into the hotel lobby and let them see me, calm, sunburned, and stronger. They were stunned. My mom rushed over and hugged me too tightly. My dad gave me a quiet nod. But my brother? He tried to make another joke. Wow, look who survived the wild. I didn't laugh. I looked him straight in the eyes and said, you left me. You didn't check. You didn't care. That's not funny. That's cowardly. And for once, no one interrupted me that night. I didn't stay in the hotel with them. I booked my own room. With the money I had saved up from side gigs, I treated myself to a dinner and a journal. I sat on the rooftop bar, writing everything I never had the courage to say at BY Morning. I knew what I had to do. I wasn't going home with them. Instead, I flew back to Kanab. Diana was waiting at the small regional airport with a grin. Knew you weren't finished here. I ended up staying for 2 months. I helped her modernize the rescue center, build a volunteer program, and get a grant. That doubled her budget. In return, I found peace, strength, identity, and the craziest part? I found friends who truly saw me. One evening, I got a call from my sister. She said things had shifted after I left. My parents were quieter. My brother had stopped cracking jokes at everyone's expense. You leaving kind of made them all realize something, she said. You weren't just being dramatic. You were right. I didn't need validation. But hearing it felt like a breath I hadn't realized I was holding. When I finally returned home, I wasn't the same. I spoke up when conversations turned cruel. I stopped apologizing when I made choices they didn't like. I spent holidays with them, but also knew when to say, no thanks. Most importantly, I started building a life where I wasn't waiting to be included. I was creating my own place, my own voice. That summer trip was meant to embarrass me. Instead, it awakened me. But what stayed with me the most wasn't the rescue center, or even the feeling of independence. It was the way people treated me differently once I stopped asking for permission to be strong. When I got back home to Oregon, everything looked the same. But I had changed. I no longer flinched when someone spoke over me. I no longer stayed quiet when something felt wrong. I even stopped wearing the clothes they always joked were too soft for the real world. That summer had toughened me, yes, but it had also taught me softness was never the problem. It was their small definition of strength that had boxed me in for so long. The first family gathering after the trip was awkward. We were carving pumpkins at my aunt's house. Everyone tiptoed around me, like I might explode if someone made the wrong joke. My brother tried again. You going to walk back to Utah if we run out of snacks? I looked him in the eye and said, calmly, only if I know I'll find something better there than what's here. He blinked. Then, surprisingly, he nodded. A few months later, something surprising happened. Diana called and told me she had nominated me for a regional humanitarian award. You helped us raise more money in 2 months than we had in 2 years, she said. And more importantly, you helped me believe in what we were doing again. When the award ceremony came around, I flew back to Utah, this time not as a stranded girl, but as a guest of honor. Michelle came with me. My sister, who had always been somewhere between too busy and too quiet, showed up that night in a navy blue dress and took my arm as we walked into the ceremony. I wish I had said something on that trip, she whispered. I knew they were going too far. Her guilt was real, but my forgiveness was real, too. Your silence hurt, I said. But this helps. After the award ceremony, things shifted again in my family, this time for the better. My mom started reading the blog I'd begun about solo traveling and self-discovery. My dad, gruff and traditional, forwarded my article to his hiking group with the note, my daughter's smarter than all of us. Even my brother surprised me one day by texting, if you ever do something like that again, take me with you. I laughed out loud reading it, but also, I felt seen. More than that, I felt free. A year later, I started my own nonprofit called Left Behind, Moving Forward, focused on helping young women who felt excluded or unsupported by family or community find purpose through service and wilderness immersion programs. Our first retreat was in Arizona. 10 women, 1 open sky. A campfire where we passed around not wine or gossip, but truth. I told them how I had once been the family ghost, the one no one believed in, the one left at the rest stop like an old suitcase, but now, I was the one holding the map, and the best part? I didn't build this to get revenge or prove anything. I built it because I knew there were others like me, smart, gentle souls mistaken for weak, who only needed one chance to realize how strong they were. When one of the girls, a soft-spoken 19-year-old named Rena, cried after pitching her first tent alone and whispered, I didn't think I could do it. I knelt next to her and said, that's what they said about me too. We didn't hug, we held each other, and I knew I was exactly where I was meant to be. But even after all the growth and recognition, there was still one piece I hadn't touched yet, the part of me that had never said what really needed to be said. One afternoon, about 18 months after that summer trip, I found myself back in Oregon for Thanksgiving again. This time, though, it wasn't awkward. It was quiet, easier. My family had grown more cautious around me, but I didn't want that. I didn't want to be a walking reminder of guilt. I wanted honesty. I wanted closure. So, while everyone was finishing dessert and half watching a football game, I stood up and asked if I could say something. Every head turned, even the dog stopped licking the pie plate. I know what happened that day in Utah was supposed to be a joke, I said. But it wasn't. Not to me. It hurt. It changed how I saw each of you, and how I saw myself. There were fidgeting hands. Glances exchanged. I heard someone clear their throat, but I continued. I also want to thank you. Because it forced me to stop waiting to be invited. It pushed me to create my own life. My own work. My own strength. I don't hate you. But I needed you to hear that I'm not the girl you thought I was. Silence hung in the air. The kind of silence that meant something was finally sinking in. Then my mom stood up and crossed the room. She hugged me, tight, trembling. I didn't stop them. I thought it was harmless. But that doesn't make it okay. I'm sorry, Lex. Really. My brother looked genuinely ashamed. I was stupid, he said quietly. But I'm glad you proved me wrong. I hadn't expected an apology. I didn't need one. But standing in the center of that living room, I realized something even more important had happened. They had finally started listening. The next spring, something wild happened. I was invited to speak at a National Women's Leadership Summit in Washington, D.C. not just as a guest, but as a keynote speaker. I stood on stage in a navy blue pantsuit, my hair in a low bun, a tiny necklace shaped like a compass resting at my collarbone. The room was full of women from every corner of the country, as CEOs, veterans, teachers, moms, artists, and I told them everything. I told them how I was the sister who got left behind, the daughter no one worried about, the woman who became a leader by walking a desert highway with no one coming back for her. I ended with this: you don't find out who you are when everyone shows up for you. You find it out when they don't. And what you do next, that's your power. The standing ovation felt like a second sunrise in my life. After that summit, Left Behind, Moving Forward received more applications than I could keep up with. We started retreats in Montana, New Mexico, and even Alaska. Each one led by women who once felt invisible, now turned guides, coaches, sisters. Diana joined the board. Michelle helped me create a safety module for women traveling solo. My mother donated the seed money for a scholarship fund. It no longer felt like I was doing this, despite my family. I was doing it with them, and I won't pretend every wound has healed. There are still moments where I flinch at being teased, or where my voice catches when I speak in front of the people who once laughed me off. But I'm learning that healing isn't about forgetting, it's about rising anyway. One quiet morning, back in Kanab, I visited the very same rest stop where it all began. I stood in the exact place they left me, this time holding a coffee and wearing a jacket with our nonprofit's logo stitched above my heart. A young woman was sitting nearby, crying quietly. She looked lost, too old to be a child, too young to be stuck. I sat beside her, gently. You okay? I asked. She wiped her eyes and shrugged. My ride left me. I smiled, soft and strong. Then maybe, I said, this is the best thing that ever happened to you. The day they left me, they said, let's see if she can make it. But I didn't just make it, that I became. And if you've ever been left behind, forgotten, underestimated, or even laughed at, hear me when I say you're not broken, that you're becoming.